All right, guys. Thank you. Thanks for joining me tonight on Stand Up, Stand Out America with yours truly, La Conservadora Tejana, Bianca, Gracia. I'm going to have a special guest for you guys tonight. A little bit about our guest, J.R. Majewski. He is running in Ohio for Congress, District 9. He's recently come under attack. I'm going to have the privilege of getting him on our podcast here for tonight. And I think it's really important for me to tell his story. Latinos for America First. We actually endorsed him very early on. We definitely got his, did some research on him. And, I've been around since 2016. No, I'm not those dinosaurs that have been around for like 20, 30 years, right? So, but I've been around long enough to know who the real America First candidates are. You can't fool us at Latinos. We were previously Latinos for Trump, Latinos for America First. You can't fool us. We know who's been out there, who's been doing who really actually was supporting President Trump and who was really supporting the America First agenda. And so I'm going to wait for J.R. Majewski. He's finishing up another interview, and I'm going to wait for him to come on. But I want to show you guys, let's see here. I'm going to share with you. Let's see if we can get this. All right, we've got it up and running. And let me tell you right here, you're going to get to see a little bit about who he is.
My specialty is energy, nuclear energy. We have a serious chance to make America energy dominant again. And I'm proud to say that with my background, I'll be the working member of Congress that's going to be the tip of the spear. And I'm going to turn that Green New Deal brown like the turd it is.
Oh my God, Cody Keg, I'm so glad you told me there was no sound. I've been talking all this time with no sound. Oh my goodness. I have been talking this whole time with no sound. Unacceptable. So y'all didn't hear anything I said. I've been going over J.R. Majewski's information. Oh my goodness. I'm glad I looked at my comments. Can you guys hear me now? Tell me you can hear me now. I just turned on my mic. Mind you, I silenced it because I was playing his video. So I hope you guys heard that. Okay, now thank you. Thank you, Miss Rainbow. My Getter family. I just love Getter. Listen, I don't even know. I don't think anybody was telling me on Facebook or anywhere else on Twitter. They weren't telling me that they couldn't hear me. So this is no bueno. Okay, so let me go over this again. Since you guys didn't hear, I'm going to be interviewing J.R. Majewski. He's going to be coming on live. He just recently came under attack from the GOP RNC. They're questioning his valor in the military. It's the most ridiculous thing that we've heard. And so this is so typical of the RNC GOP to come after you when they can't control you. So, guys, I was pretty much, highlighting who J.R. Majewski was. He's out of Toledo, Ohio. He's a veteran, married, looks like married a high school sweetheart. And, but I was really talking about his issues. Let me go back since you guys couldn't hear me. So Latinos for America First endorsed him early on. And so one of the things is that, we always go and look at the issues and what these candidates are representing. And we want to make sure that they're America first. Now, one of the things, as I was saying earlier, is we've been around, maybe not for 20, 30 years, but we've been around long enough since 2016 to know who the real America First candidates and real America First people are. Okay. There's people that are, I don't like to use the word grifting. I don't like that word, but there's people that are pretending to be that, America First. Look at me, I'm America First. You are not America First. If you are not out on the street standing for Trump, okay, and getting flicked off and water bottles thrown at you, and if you've not been targeted by Antifa and Black Lives Matter and everybody else because you supported Trump, your own Republican Party, Democrats, I mean, you name it, they came after you. We know who those people are. We know how to identify them. And this is what I was saying. It doesn't get any better than this. JR here is about protecting our constitutional rights. He wants to make sure that we put America first, always put America first. He believes in limited government. He comes from the independent, or he comes from the energy. I guess he has some kind of experience in energy. And so he wants to make sure that America becomes an energy, that we're independent. He does obviously support law enforcement. He believes in a strong U.S. military. His quote here is, "We need a leader, not a politician, someone who can unify our communities and champion an effort to take back Ohio and make America great again. And I am that someone." He does believe in parental rights. He believes in obviously reforming education. He knows that the public school systems right now are failing our children. He believes in election integrity. Obviously, he believes in securing our borders and stopping the illegal immigration right now. That means building the wall. Term limits, guys, term limits. This is a no-brainer. We should have term limits no matter what. And obviously, he wants to reform Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act of 1996. Wants to go after big tech because they've been silencing conservatives. And we're not going to have that anymore. So that is who he stands. It's a no-brainer, guys, to know that, he is America First. And he's not just saying it, right? He is actually, it is who he is. So J.R. Majewski is actually really known for, if you guys remember, he was the one that in his lawn in Ohio, he would mow Trump, the word Trump, and I think he had 2020 on it. And he became known because he would mow his yard with that. And so I'm like, he's been there for Trump, right? Obviously there were so many Americans, guys, millions of people that supported Trump. And so J.R. Majewski is one of them. And he decided to run for office. He believed that he needed to serve his country yet another time, right? And so that is who he is. This is, why we have decided to definitely support him. Recently, he's come under fire. Like I said, they're trying to say that he's some stolen valor. They're trying to say that he did not serve in Afghanistan or wasn't anywhere near Afghanistan. But we're going to hear his story here soon. I promise he is coming here. He is finishing and wrapping up his other interview. So I am just grateful that he's going to be able to come on with us and talk to our audience to tell his side of the story. I wanted to make sure that he knew that Latinos for America First, we're not backing down. We're not going to take our endorsement away. We know who he is. We know what he stands for. We're not going to believe the nonsense that the Democrats and these Republican rhinos are out to get him. That's not going to work for us, and we're going to have that conversation with him on here. I think it's very important. If you know people in the Ohio area, in that District 9, please share this podcast with them. And, he's being attacked. I mean, there's already someone on the Facebook that was trying to come and tell me, oh, that's the guy with a stolen valor. I'm like, you are such a moron. Number one, you don't even know the side of the story. You don't even know anything. And you're already trying to come out and attack people. You got to have evidence, people. And I think that, J.R. Majewski did go on, he did go out on, and has cleared his name and done everything to clear his name. I see that he's getting ready back here backstage, and I'm going to bring him on because I know you guys just don't want to hear me talk. I know you guys love me, but not enough to hear me talk the whole hour. So I'm very happy that he is coming on. So I'm going to bring him on, guys, so that we can hear from him. Here we go. Let's add him and make sure we can hear him.
Hey, can you hear me?
Hey, JR, we can
How
hear
are
you.
Good to hear. Good to see you.
Hey, I'm so glad. We are so honored to have you on tonight on Stand Up, Stand Out America, here with yours truly, La Conservadora Tejana, Bianca Gracia, and president of Latinos for Trump, Latinos for America First. JR, we endorsed you very early on. We've supported you. I've been going over the issues. It is a no-brainer on the issues. You are America First. I was telling our audience here, and I said, look, I've been around. I don't need to be around 20, 30 years, but I've been around long enough to know who our America First candidates are and who our America First people are. I know who the grifters are, and I don't like to use that, but I like, the people who pretend and say, oh, I'm an America First. And I'm like, no, you are not America First, and so, but JR, you are. Yeah. And here you are. You've come under fire right now with, I guess, the RNC and the Uniparty that, Steve Bannon calls them the Uniparty. The Uniparty has now come against you, and they're trying to say that you stole valor. Oh, my God, you did something bad, and they're trying to debunk. And they're obviously, they can't control you, so they're going to do everything they can to sabotage you. I was telling our audience here, JR, that in Arizona, Luis Pisolo, who we've also endorsed, the GOP couldn't control them. So what do? They recruited a write-in candidate. It's insane what they will do if they can't control you and they can't buy you and they can't corrupt you and they don't like it. And they didn't like it with President Trump, and they definitely don't like it with our America First candidate. So that's what I was doing. I'm just kind of wrapping up in what I was talking about with JR. Tell our audience a little bit about yourself, because I was trying to tell them, but I think it's better to hear it from you. And I want to discuss and let's get, down to the nitty gritty on what it is that's going on in your district and why they've come out after you. So tell us a little bit about yourself first.
Sure. So, as you said, I'm an America First candidate. I born and raised right here in Northwest Ohio, in a district that has been represented by Marcy Kaptur, the longest. Wow. Sorry, my phone's going off here. Hold on.
You're okay.
I don't know how to turn it off. Hold on. I'm going to figure this out. All right. There we go.
You're
all
good.
Right.
You're
I got
good.
all these bells and whistles on this computer. I'm just learning it. So I am an America First candidate. Like you said, I was born and raised right here in Northwest Ohio. And I decided to run against a 40-year Democratic incumbent.
40
Because,
years?
yeah,
Oh
40 years.
my God. That's like a
The-
Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, she's actually the longest standing female member of Congress in history. She's actually been in longer than Nancy. Nasty Nancy Pelosi and Marxist Marcy Captor.
Jesus.
So, this was a Democratic district, a D+16, and I became politically motivated because I have been an ardent supporter of President Trump, and I saw what was happening to him, and he inspired me to run. And
Mhm.
this was a D+16 district, and it turned into an R3 after redistricting. And
Woo!
my claim to fame was being brave and supporting President Trump when it was tough to do so.
Yeah.
I have a 20,000 square foot piece of property right on Lake Erie, and I painted the world's largest Trump 2020 logo on it.
That's what I was
And
talking about. JR,
yeah.
I was talking about how that's what you became known for.
Yeah, and so I again decided I was going to shake some trees, and I didn't know if I could win when it was a D16, but I was brave enough to try. And at the end of the day, if I inspired Republicans to realize that we can't be couch side conservatives, then I felt like my job was done. And so I won a very contested primary against two Republicans that were members of the state Senate and the state House. Both decided they were brave once the district turned into an R3. And we won that race despite the challenges. They were funded with hundreds of thousands of dollars, whereas I had to earn and raise every penny myself. I
Right.
refused to have a bunch of professional cronies around me telling me what to do. I ran my campaign legitimately, myself and friends, and we won the race. I was endorsed by President Trump, and we've been doing really, really well here in the 9th district against Marcy. Marcy spent I think it's $1.4 million, if I'm not mistaken, on negative ads against me.
Jeez.
And despite that, this race was a toss-up, and I hadn't spent any money on TV and radio yet. And then the Associated Press decided to drop a smear or hit piece on me the week that military ballots came out in Ohio, despite the fact that they had been doing this investigation and they had communications and correspondence with the United States Air Force back in July. So this was a targeted attempt to maliciously wound my campaign and my personal life. But that said, I've been able to disprove their claims, and so has the Air Force. Realistically, this hit piece never should have been, because the information provided by the Air Force was ample enough to justify my defense. But I wouldn't personally. I've we're just going to continue to fight. And like you said, I can't be controlled. I can't be bridled. Neither could President Trump. Neither could any of the America First candidates that we've seen.
That's
and right. I can't sit here today and say that the Republican Party is working against me, because I don't know. What I will say is that the Republican Party in Washington, D.C. doesn't vote in Ohio. Ohioans do.
There you go.
That's what matters to me. And we're going to continue to work really, really hard, like we've done since I put my name in the hat back in April of 21.
Good. This is why JR, at Latinos for Trump, Latinos for America First, this is why we have been at the forefront championing and fighting, and looking for those candidates. Because let me tell you something, you and I both know that we need strong, bold, fearless leaders in office. We don't need people who are going to go and be like a yes, sir, no, sir. And okay, I'm going to vote with you, McCarthy, I'm going to vote with you, whoever it is, I'm going to do what everybody tells me to do. We're past that. We're beyond that. We allowed that to happen way too many years. And I was telling the audience here, and I said, look, at Latinos for America First, We already know that the attacks are going to get hard. We're not pulling our endorsement. We're not believing this nonsense. We have already vetted you very early on. I've met you in person. I've had a conversation with you, and I have no doubt that that you are deceiving us, or that you are playing games, or that you're lying to the American people. I have no doubt in that. And so therefore, I'm not quick to say, oh, all these people that jump on board and they're like, oh my goodness, and they want to all attack you. And I'm like, you guys got to get it together. Do you not know what we're fighting? We're fighting the machine here. And that's what we love about America First candidates, is that they are bold, fearless, and they don't care, and they can't be corrupted. They can't be bought out. And that's what we, the people, are asking for. We want true representation in Congress. And you know what? You're right. Look, DC may not vote in Ohio, but once you get to DC, you're not just going to be representing Ohio. Everything you vote for, JR, will affect the whole United States. It'll affect people here in Texas. When you say that on your issue that you want border security, that's what we are looking for down here, also in Texas, in Florida, in Arizona, in New Mexico. We are looking for those candidates who are going to get tough on the border, because it is going to affect us. Even though that you're only representing the Congressional District 9 in Ohio, what you vote for is going to affect us. And this is why across the nation, we have our leadership, Latinos for America First, we've been due diligent in really trying to, whether it was recruit or whether it was advocate, whether it was support or endorse people that we knew were running on America First policies. We need people to represent us in Congress. And this is why it is important for you to get your message out. I'm glad you're setting the record straight and saying you're not completely, you don't have proof that the whole GOP is coming against you, but you do know that obviously when the RNC says, hey, we're going to pull our ads, nonsense, people. This is what's wrong with DC. They have no backbone. I don't know if you talked to many Hispanics in your district, but let me tell you something. When I went around the state of Texas, JR, Hispanics, I did a listening tour, and the Hispanics came and told me, when we talked about, if what do you think of political parties, and and we just asked general questions, and their number one thing that they said was, well, we kind of align with the Republican Party, but we don't really support them, or haven't supported them, because they have no backbone. They get run over all the time. Hispanics, they like fighters. That's why they love Trump, because Trump fought back. He didn't let anybody come at him. He was like, came back right back at them. He was toe to toe with people. He wouldn't just roll down and say, okay, I'll go ahead and let's do this bipartisan agreement when you're getting, hit. And that's what Hispanics look for. They look for a fighter, JR, a fighter. So tell our audience, are you going to continue to fight for us?
Oh, 100%. I mean, that's why I'm doing this. I gave up a lucrative career in the nuclear power industry at a very young age, where, the sky was the limit for me, making a lot more money than I'm going to make in Congress. And, when the FEC reports come out, today's the last day of the quarter, you're going to see that all of my contributors are individual donors. You don't see any lobbyist money. You don't see any of that stuff. So I'm not going to Washington, D.C. and selling my soul. I'd rather fight with a ball bat than, a very expensive, overpriced weapon, I guess you could say. I'm a brawler. Yeah. I wake up every morning looking for something to fight and for people to fight for. This is the perfect job for me. I've been a servant leader my entire life. Right. And, America needs people that are willing to stand up and do the right thing, whether people are listening, looking, or, regardless of the outcome. That's what this country was built on. That's why people have migrated to this country. That's why people are coming across the border right now. Mm-hmm. They're not coming because of Biden's America. They're coming because of Trump's America. They're coming because of the America that our forefathers set forth. They're coming because we are the greatest country in the world. And look, I want migrants to come here. Absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't be talking to you right now on this podcast if the United States of America didn't welcome migrants. But I want them, just like all of you, to come here legally.
That's right.
And we have to separate our feelings from facts. When we see, young women and children crossing the border, we have to realize that many of them are being brought over by cartels. They're
Yes.
not coming because they are escaping Mexico. They're coming because they're being forced.
Yeah.
And, you know, there is a reverberation of the border crisis across the country. And one of the top areas that it hits is right here in my district, in my hometown of Toledo, Ohio. Toledo, Ohio was the number 4 epicenter for human and child trafficking. It is the only city in the United States that houses the intersection of the north and south and east and west interstates that run the entire length and height of the country. I-80 and I-90 runs from San Francisco to New York, and I-75 goes from the upper part of Michigan all the way down into Florida.
Yeah.
And we've allowed crime, we've allowed drugs, we've allowed gangs, we've allowed everything under the sun to take advantage of that corridor. And guess what? Our businesses can't even use it. They can't use it because of what's happening right down in like you said, in New Mexico and Arizona and Texas. And this could be solved. I mean, we're never going to stop it 100%, but we're a nation of law and order, and we should be enforcing our laws. We shouldn't be putting up video of, women and children crossing the border and talking about how they're separated from their parents. I mean, all that stuff, while it's terrible and it's a crisis, the way to fix it is to disincentivize people from coming into the country illegally.
That's right. Well, JR, they also are fleeing their own communist socialist countries. So it didn't work in their countries, and that's why they're trying to come here. But it is led by the cartel. The cartel is using these people because they boggle down our Border Patrol agents. They keep them tied up, processing, people. In the meantime, the vulnerability is open, and so they push all their drugs and the fentanyl that's killing our kids now. They've got the candy, they call it the candy fentanyl, which is they've color coded it now, so it looks like it's candy. And there's children that are dying because of this. Nobody talks about the women and the children. I think I had an interview with I didn't think I had an interview, but I had an interview with Todd Bensman, and he was telling me that there's 70-80% of the women and children that actually get raped just on their journey here, and nobody's talking about that. Nobody's talking about that. So this is why I know we at Latinos for America First, we have been extremely, we're probably one of the only Hispanic organizations out there, or PAC out there, that we don't advocate for amnesty and citizenship. We just don't. We never have, and we probably never will. We do believe in reform, maybe coming up with some other alternative, but there is just no way. We don't believe in it. Never will. So understand that we want people to come here legally. And so, but we understand that the system right now to come here legally is broken. So what do? They take advantage of it. The cartels have taken advantage of it. The illegals have taken advantage of it. And if you see the videos that are raw videos coming out of independent journalists, you see that a lot of these people aren't even family members units anymore. A lot of the people coming across is young males. The people who are actually experts at this, JR, are telling us that these people are probably trained, MS-13 members. They're trained militant members from their other countries. Border Patrol tells us over 70% of the people coming across the border illegally are not even from Mexico. They're coming in from all over the place. So this is a serious problem, JR. This is a serious problem. And, knowing that your district was redistricted and you're now in the positive, we need you in Congress, and we need you to remember once you get to Congress, JR, that we are going to hold you accountable. We're going to call your office. And even though if you don't represent us directly in Texas, we're going to come and tell you, JR, remember, stick to your issues. Be how Trump was, as a promise is made, promise is kept. You got to do that for the American people. And this is why we need people like you, JR. And so this whole nonsense, of your, accusing you of the stolen valor. Tell us a little bit about your history or experience in the military.
So my job, first off, I was deployed to Qatar in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. My job was to assist in the logistics and moving people and equipment and you name it into our forward operating bases, and that included Afghanistan. And so, I served in the Middle East from May of 02 until November of 02, and I got out of the service in 03, and when I left the service, it was either right before I left or shortly thereafter, a whole bunch of, medals were created, the global war on terrorism, the Afghan war, and the Operation Enduring Freedom, all that stuff. Well, those things weren't created when I was in the service, so I never got those medals. And so when this hit piece came out, they had done a FOIA request. And the Air Force said, J.R. Majewski went to Qatar, and where he went downrange from there, we have absolutely no visibility on. And, that's a standard reply. The Air Force is not going to tell an AP reporter what I've done and where I've gone.
That's right.
And
national security.
Yeah. And the other part of it is that the AP acknowledged that the Air Force said that I went to Qatar, yet my DD-214 that they had did not even say that I went to Qatar. Okay. So that in itself shows you that there was some administrative errors. I mean, look, this is 2002. We're getting into a war with in the Middle East, and we're just pushing planes, pushing people, pushing equipment, pushing weapons, pushing all of this stuff into that theater so that we could fight. And, at the end of the day, the AP had this information from the Air Force in July, and they sat on it. They sat on it because they knew that if they gave me the proper amount of time, I could have substantiated all of these things. I could have done a DD-249 request to the Air Force Personnel Record Center and gotten these medals awarded to me. They didn't do that. They waited until the week that military ballots were released, and they threw this hit piece out. It was targeted. They had a bunch of their media buddies pick up the story almost immediately. And, they had a lot of my military records illegally. What you get in a FOIA request is not what they've shown on the internet. Mm-hmm. And my opponent is my congresswoman. And instead of sticking up for me, because she knows that this information, she's been in Congress for 40 years. She sits on veterans committees. She understands that this information that they have at their, at their service is not something that they got illegally. But instead of standing up and saying, hey, look, this is crazy, she perpetuated it. She spent thousands of dollars promoting the ad on the internet. And, I got on Google the other day and I saw the ad and it said sponsored by Marcy Captor for Congress. And, what I have to say about that is this is a direct display of the, bloodthirsty desire for these Democrats to stay in power. Mm-hmm. They have absolutely nothing to do. They have nothing to talk about with respect to their record. Instead, they want to character assassinate anyone and everyone. And they will go as far as to make up lies and use their buddies in the media to spread their message and their propaganda like wildfire. Mm-hmm. Because they know that I'm at a handicap because I don't have millions of dollars like she does. So, at the end of the day, the NRCC made a decision to pull their money from my campaign, and, it is what it is, but President Trump did not, and he will not.
He better have not, JR. We're going to have problems if he did.
He will not.
Good.
He will not.
I'm glad to hear that.
I promise you that. I'm actually been distracted on my phone because I'm texting back and forth with people that are talking to me about him and the rally that's going to be in Michigan tomorrow. So,
Oh, awesome. Awesome.
yeah.
Well, Maria here says the Dems plant lies and half truth and create false narratives, and the left runs with it because they know ignorant people will believe it, just like they did with President Trump and the fake story that he called all Mexican rapists and murderers. She says JR is a Patriot veteran who comes under attack because the left knows he's going to win. You got that right, Maria. You got that right. That's exactly what they're doing. JR, what's going to be your first order of business when you get there?
Well, number one is going to be, I think we need to restore Congress to regular order. We have a madhouse right now. Even though we're going to flip the House and we're going to flip the Senate, we still have some work to do. And one thing that I don't want to see is Republicans complaining and whining for 2 years about the Biden administration and the behavior of Nancy Pelosi, only to repeat that.
Yeah.
Congress needs to get back to regular order for a number of reasons, but the main reason is because we have these committees for a reason. Right now, Nancy Pelosi can introduce a bill and shoot it down party lines and not throw it through any of these committees. It doesn't go through any debates, any deliberation. And the next thing you know is we have a multi-trillion-dollar bill that gets passed in the middle of the night that's full of, reckless spending. And so if we were to bring Congress back to where it needs to be, that means that we could tighten down on some of these things, and we could bring some transparency back to C-SPAN. I think that if we create a platform of transparency and accountability to the American people, we'll behave.
Yes. Well, and not only that, JR, it'll restore some public confidence. Right now, there is no public confidence on our Congress. We don't believe anything they say. We don't really, we have no trust in them at all. This is a government that I used to look up to, young, and used to think like, ooh, wow, I mean, these people are it. Now I'm seeing like they're no different than the mafia. It's like there's no order for them. They've completely taken advantage. They don't want to lose their power. They've been in power, like you said, look, 40 years. I mean, come on, this woman, 40 years is ridiculous. It is time to retire these people. It's time for new leadership. It's time for a cleanup. JR, we did hear, this is totally a rumor, guys, totally a rumor. Please do not run around and say, oh, Bianca and JR Majewski said this. This is totally a rumor. And it's a theory, right? It's just a theory. We're not saying conspiracy theories either, period, people. So, but I read somewhere, I did read this somewhere, and it was like, oh, they're looking to vote Trump in as a Speaker of the House. And I was like, oh, here we go with these, situations and theories, right? And then they're going to run, DeSantis for 2024. And then they're going to, put these people in positions and stuff. And I thought, man, I mean, you hear it all in politics, right? All these theories and situational things. And, JR, I got to thinking, and I really, I don't like to really cater to the theories. But every once in a while you kind of sit there and you ponder upon an idea, and you're like, could that be possible? It is actually, because according to the Constitution, you don't have to be a voted member of Congress to be the Speaker of the House. And I thought, I know that our president wants to run again, and he's not declared it or anything, but he wants to run. And I said, this would be a really good way. I mean, if it was done, if that was a possibility, it would be a really good way. They didn't let Trump really be an executive, because they consistently were always attacking him. And I'm like, how smart would it be to put him in as Speaker of the House? And now, look, I don't care what people say, they took the election from him, period. I'm not going to use the other word because, then we get banned. But we know what they did. We know what they did in 2020. What better way? They don't want to make laws. They don't want to make laws. And I'm like, to put him in a position to actually be the person to head those bills and make sure that we clean up election integrity, you know, I'm like thinking, why is that not a possibility? Actually, that would be kind of smart if you put him in that position. And even if he was Speaker of the House, he could still run for president. He doesn't have, nobody else has to run for president. But wouldn't it be awesome to have to set the tone? So, anyway, not saying it's going to happen. I'm not spreading rumors and conspiracy theories, but it was something I read and I thought it was kind of crazy, but I actually pondered about it. And JR, I'm sure that if you did get into office and if that situation did happen, obviously he's going to have your support no matter what he decides to do for 20 here in 2022 or beyond. I know that he has supported you, and obviously with everything that you've gone through and the attack that you've been through, he's not even pulling your support. So no matter what he decides, I know you're going to have his back, just like Latinos for America First is going to have his back. And I come under attack myself for crazy stuff. I mean, it's like and they got to be careful with me sometimes. They attack me, but they got to be careful because they're like, she's a Hispanic female, so she's Christian, so they want to attack me for being Christian, and then they got to kind of tone it back. Then they go want to attack me, and they're like, ooh, it could backfire on them. Could really backfire on them, because what better way to really send a ripple into the Latino community if you just really come down on a Hispanic woman, right? That would be like, if you really, really came after me, the Latino community would go up in a frenzy, because it's kind of one of those things that you got to be in the fine line. So I come under attack as well, and it's okay. It comes with this business. We get it. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that out. I'm not going to ask you to comment on it because I don't want to put you in that position unless you want to. But it was something I read, and I kind of pondered on it, and I said, this is crazy, but it would be really cool if that did happen and the left would explode. I mean, they wouldn't know what to do with that, JR. They wouldn't know what to do. Can you imagine if he went in there and took Nancy Pelosi's job, and then he starts these impeachment for real? I mean, it would just be classic.
I mean, I've heard of the theory. I've heard of the I've heard of the argument. I know that the argument has been presented to President Trump, and here, what I would say is that I would say a couple things. Number one, just the fact that someone went through the intellectual exercise to identify the opportunity for President Trump to be the Speaker of the House just shows how great of a president he was.
Right.
It just shows how bad of a president Joe Biden is.
Yeah.
Number two, I don't think that President Trump's pride would allow him to step into that position. Now, that's not a condescending remark against him. That's more of a compliment to his achievements. The man was the president and should have been the president for 2 terms. And I think he would find it hard to take that step down. And the last point is this. It takes a lot to run for the president of the United States. It takes a lot to run for Congress.
Yeah.
And that man is going to have to put every ounce of energy into winning the White House back in 2024. I don't think that he could suffer the chaos that he would see if he were Speaker of the House. Donald Trump can rabble-rouse from Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
He's the leader of the Republican Party. Whoever the Speaker of the House is will be listening to President Trump at all times.
We're hoping it's not Kevin McCarthy, because we don't like him. But,
Well, I mean, I can tell you that President Trump has, every member of Congress right now that is a, is a Republican, except for maybe Kinzinger and Cheney. They do listen to President Trump.
They're out, JR. Okay. They're out.
I know.
Yeah.
But they listen to him. Okay.
Well, they better.
Whether you like Kevin McCarthy or not, he listens to Trump. And, I'll say this. Kevin McCarthy came to my district and helped me raise $100,000 in a day. When I won my primary, he was one of the first people that called me. Now, I'm not saying that I'm his best buddy, but gestures like that go pretty far, especially when you're an outsider candidate like me. Now, that could have been strategic on his part. Who knows? I'm no dummy.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, Kevin McCarthy has treated me fairly. He's never asked me for anything. And I can tell you if he did, I wouldn't look at you in the eyes and lie. He's done nothing but help me and help me raise money. And I appreciate that. The decision for the NRCC to pull the money is separate from, the position that Kevin McCarthy has with the NRCC.
On the article, just to let you know, the articles that we were reading say that it was Kevin McCarthy, NRCC, and the RNC.
It could be.
What the articles say.
It could be. It could be. I'm just telling you, what I know.
Mm-hmm.
You also have to. I'm sure you know this, but for the audience, I'm out campaigning all day. I didn't even know that the pipeline, blew up, and it happened 2 days ago. I had no idea. I was on a podcast, or I was on a TV show before I joined here, and I was told that Nord Stream 1 had a leak, and we had methane going all over the place. So, I had no idea because I'm so busy campaigning. But what I'm trying to say is, it would be fantastic if something like that could happen. But I think if we want Trump in the White House in 2024, we got to make sure that we get a Congress that's loyal to him.
Yes.
Folks like myself. And look, that's another election away too, because after I win in November, I'm going to have to win again.
Yeah.
During his presidential year. So,
yeah.
I think he's going to do and continue to fight. I'll probably be seeing him tomorrow when he's here, and he's going to be in Michigan. So, every time I see the president, it's a unique experience. And
I bet
the unfortunate thing, I think, is that, the American public doesn't know the Trump that we know. So,
exactly. Yeah.
It would be great if they did. I think that people would realize the affinity he has for this country and the people that live here, not the jargon that is spewed by the left,
right,
to deface and diminish his legacy.
Right.
Well, have you ever been to Mar-a-Lago?
Yes.
I thought I saw you. Didn't I see you there?
Not when you were there. Not when you were there. I don't know, JR. It depends. I saw you at the Reawaken.
Yeah, but I thought I saw you at Mar-a-Lago too. Like at the Candidates Forum or the John Gibbs, or what else was I there for?
I did not go to that. No, I didn't go to those. I actually went to Mar-a-Lago with Israel. It was like Christians in Israel. There was a fundraiser there for Israel. So that's where when I went to Mar-a-Lago. I was supposed to go with my work, and I chose to go help Joey Gilbert in Nevada instead. I felt that he needed my help more so than going to Mar-a-Lago. So sometimes you just kind of make those, choices.
Well, I'm having a fundraiser there on October 20th, and I'll make sure you get an invite. Well,
you didn't tell me that, JR. My goodness. Yeah, you better send that invite over. That'd be great. Listen, it's I'm so glad you came on, and I got to say, you're smart. I'm a real good judge of character, and I have a lot of discernment. The Lord has given me a lot of discernment, and I know when people are lying, and I know when people are telling the truth. And you're very, very smart, because I made, when your response to me and our organization, we're just not McCarthy, we just don't like him. And we have good reason for it. And so you're smart in how you answer that, and you're smart because you're going into Congress, and that that you can't completely burn bridges.
Yeah.
And so,
I mean,
and
look,
and here, in all fairness, hey, he helped you. There's a
yeah,
lot
I
of
mean,
American First candidates he has not helped.
look, I called Kevin McCarthy a traitor before, yeah, I broadcasted live from the Trump rally in Ohio and called him a traitor when, that information, that voice audio leaked between the conversation between him and Liz Cheney. I said that.
Mm-hmm.
And he and I had a conversation about that. And it was a very fair conversation. And I respect him for that conversation. There's one thing that you cannot do in a position like this, especially in a hostile environment
Mm-hmm.
where the tangible exchange is information. Okay. You can't show your cards.
That's right.
And at the end of the day, whether I personally like Kevin McCarthy, whether I personally like Marjorie Taylor Greene, it's of absolutely no measure.
Yeah.
My job is to represent the people in my
That's right.
district.
That's right.
And I need to vote on issues that are tuned like a pitchfork to their positions. And if
Right.
if I cannot stand up against leadership in Congress, then I have no business being there. And there is this stock market of secrets that I've seen and that I've heard about. I mean, you
Mm-hmm.
spend a couple of days in DC and people start talking about, well, this guy and that guy and this lady and that lady. I mean, but listen, I just write it on the chalkboard, put it in, put it in the Rolodex, whatever you want to call it, save it for a rainy day. I'm not looking to, be part of the whisper crowd or spread, nasty rumors about people. I'm
Good.
not looking to overpower and blackmail people. And that statement that I just said is, no reflection on the people I just named.
Right.
It's more of that's what Washington, D.C. has become.
Yeah.
And folks, we need to get people like me that are willing to bring a torch
Yes.
and cauterize the wound, because that's what we need. We need to fix up DC. Doesn't need a
And
band-aid.
transparency. You couldn't have said any better. Transparency. We need transparency in DC. We really, really do. And that's why, I know I'm very confident that you will go and represent not just your district, but you're going to represent us all in America. You're going to represent us really well. You're very, very smart. I love that. And you're right. There's things that people don't sometimes understand completely in this whole political realm. It can get nasty very, very quickly. I'm always known for holding people to me, I'm holding people accountable. I'm like, hey, if you said this and you didn't do it, then we got problems. I know that you can't always do everything, but don't make a promise. Don't say you're going to do something and then just completely not do it.
Yeah.
But I'm that way with Republicans and Democrats or anybody, even if they're independents. I think the American people deserve that type of transparency. So I'm very confident that you are going to represent us very, very well, and that you will make good decisions that will affect all Americans, that you're going to really take serious, the border invasion. I call it an invasion.
Yeah.
You're going to take all of these things serious. And when you were making a reference, JR, to the 2024, and if Trump decides to run, in 2024, I don't care what these so-called fact checkers say. We know what happened in 2020, and it's going to be extremely important for Congress to truly, truly pass some bills and measures that we as Americans, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, that we have fair and balanced elections, and that these shenanigans are not happening, that, people are not just receiving. I mean, I have affidavits from 2020, JR. I have affidavits of people who went to go back and check and canvass, and there was 10 ballots sent to a house where only one person lived, and the reason it was a rental home, and it was like every person who had lived in the rental home received a ballot there. We have an affidavit where there was they rent cars, and they would go up to the polling location, and they would have a bucket, because it was COVID, and they would have a bucket, and the driver would throw a stack of IDs into the bucket, but only 2 people in the car. I mean, ballot harvesting in the in our senior assisted living places. We know this is happening. We have accounts of people who work in those facilities that have given us that information. JR, we know these things happen, and we're not even talking about machines and everything else. There is some serious problems, and we need those addressed. And in order for us to have fair and balanced elections, not just for Trump to win a White House, not just for you to win your office, but it's for anybody who decides to run. If the people in a district want to vote in an independent, for crying out loud, if that's what they want to do, the Republican and Democrat party shouldn't have any business trying to fix that election. They should let the people, that's why we vote. We
Right.
have that is a constitutional right that we must protect. And so I hope that when you get up there into DC, that you really that becomes, it's got to be a top priority. I mean, we're going to have to do something to make sure that we secure our election systems across the nations, and we do not need federalized elections, but we need to do things that obviously have checks and balances. JR, there was something that we did through Latinos for Trump. We had filed a civil rights lawsuit, and we were told it was at the Supreme Court by our attorney. I don't really know that it is anymore. I really, lost kind of touch with her, but we were really fighting on the violation of civil rights during the 2020 election. We know we had a case. When we filed it, obviously it didn't get thrown out, and we were fighting. I always have said, if you're going to beat Congress, you use their own laws against them. You don't have to create new things. You just use their laws. There was a Helping America Voting Act. Now, I want you to look into that, because in the Helping America Voting Act, Congress enacted and did certain things after the 2002 between Al Gore and Bush, when there was a big chaos in Florida. They did the Helping America Voting Act to ensure the security of elections. Well, guess what? Because of COVID, they violated everything under the moon through the Helping America Voting Act. And basically, they violated, it doesn't matter if I'm Hispanic, they violated all Americans' election, their civil rights through elections. And so that needs to be looked at, because that should have protected us, and it didn't, and it hasn't, and we haven't had a ruling on it, and it needs to be taken serious. But that is something that you should look into, because there's evidence there that there were election law violations. They used COVID to do it, and it was never no legislators across the country did any kind of law to make sure that they overturned, or that they said, hey, we've got to address the Helping America Voting Act because we're violating. In fact, we have many election administrators. We have even some attorney generals across the country that said, hey, before the election, they were saying, hey, we can't do this. We can't have this election. This is violating the Helping America Voting Act. And they told them, push it through. We don't care. Have the election. So, JR, those are things that Latinos for Trump, we have probably 300 affidavits from people in the Rio Grande Valley and also from Florida. And it's all Latinos. And I really feel that our voice wasn't heard. If we were on the left, you know how many freaking attorneys and ACLU, they would have been representing us, because our civil rights were violated. It's really sad that our own side, we didn't have much more support and help to help us as Latinos, as Hispanics, have a voice to say our civil rights were violated during the 2020 election, and nobody seemed to care about it. And so I hope that that's something that you remember and that you think about when you get to Congress and say, you know what, when we're looking at election integrity, let's go back and look at the Helping America Voting Act and really see what this says and what it did to the 2020 election, and really come up with some comprehensive election integrity laws that are going to address and close a lot of the gaps and leave no wiggle room for people to do and take advantage of our one sacred thing that we have in this country, and that's our voting right. please make sure that you do that for us. We're counting on you to do it for us, JR, and know that we're behind you. And we're, obviously we're going to continue to stay behind you. Send us that invite to your Mar-a-Lago fundraiser, and we would love to definitely attend and definitely, support you in your run. So one of the things about our PAC, JR, is we are not a super PAC. We are a multi-candidate PAC. So we do not, take big money either, because we want to help candidates. The reason we opened up a multi-candidate PAC was because we wanted to work with the candidates. We didn't want a super PAC and have all this money, and then we couldn't even help the candidate. I mean, we could help them indirectly, but we want to help candidates. We want to be there. We want to do, if we can run an ad or put out an ad in the paper, or whether it's just donate to the campaign so that you can get signs, or you can buy road signs, or, do whatever you need to do for your campaign. So it was very important for us to have a multi-candidate PAC. And that's really what we've been doing. And so we've been very fortunate with us, and we fortunate with the PAC, and we will continue to, to advocate and help America First candidates. But, hey, I thank you so much for coming on tonight, JR. I know you're a very busy person. Listen, say hi to the president tomorrow on behalf of Latinos for America First, Latinos for Trump. You tell him little Miss O Bianca here, said hello. I believe he got something recently. I made a statement. I'm a spiritual warrior, and I made a statement about him, and it made it to his desk and got some massive attention. And he thought I was attacking him. But again, like you just said, hey, you weren't attacking him. I wasn't attacking him either. I was heeding a warning to him, and I think he understands that now. So I'm pretty sure he's like, oh, there's that Bianca again. But listen, he's a great guy, and we've always been very supportive. We've been there from the very beginning in 2016, supporting and advocating for his policies because we believed in him. So we thank you, JR. And there's anything, can you tell everybody, where do they find you? How do they go donate? What can they do to help you? Cities that you are representing, so that there's anybody listening on, especially on our Getter. You can't see our Getter live, but we're about 600 viewers right now on Getter. And so if they're out in Ohio, let our Getter family know, where can they find you and how can they help?
Sure. You can go to my website, which is right above my head here, jrmajewski4congress.com. All of my social media, it's either JR Majewski for Congress or JR Majewski. The best way to help, to be honest, the hardest part for any candidate that is trying to run the right way is raising money. So, I would encourage you, if you have $1, chip in $1. Yard signs are $2 and some cents. So, that all that money goes a long way. The NRCC did just take $1 million from my campaign that we were highly reliant upon. So, we're going to have to win this race the good old fashioned way. And that means about $60 to buy a new pair of shoes, because I'm going to wear a couple out. But, get on social media, follow me, spread the message. Don't waste too much energy fighting the bots, because that's what I'm inundated right now by the fake Democratic bots that are all over the place. But, just keep supporting good America First candidates. Keep fighting. It's not just me. It's everybody out there. The country needs us. It's time to suck it up and be brave.
Amen to that.
If we're not willing to do that, then everything that Ronald Reagan envisioned for this country back in the days of German and communism are going to come true.
That's right, JR. Listen, to my Getter family, because you guys are so good, buy JR a cup of coffee this week. Do not go to Starbucks. Use that $8, send it to JR out in Ohio, and show him some love. $6 buys him 3 yard signs. Come on, guys. I know you guys can do that. Go hit his donate button, go visit him. And like he said, he's not relying on, the lobbyist and all these big people he's relying on you and me, people like us, just regular people that donate, to give what you can. Donate $5, donate 10, 20, 50, 100. If you can give more, do it. Bless JR, and especially during this troubled time that he got attacked. you know, we need to really rally behind him. So JR, go and enjoy the rest of your weekend. If there's ever anything that you need from Latinos for America First, you know, and you need to get a message out, shoot it over. We'll get it out for you. Make sure that we are making sure that we keep people educated and that we keep telling people the truth, JR. So thank you so much. You have a blessed week and enjoy yourself tomorrow.
I will. Trump rally is always fun, and I'll get up on if they want me to speak, we'll see.
All right.
I always have a good
on the
time.
lookout. We will be on the lookout, JR. Thanks so much. I always say peace out with your truly La Conservadora Tejana here, Bianca Gracia on Stand Up, Stand Out America. Thanks, JR.
You're welcome. God bless.
God bless.